Hey guys, Andy N, Spoken Label, back in the house. Sunday morning. This is not the earliest podcast I've done. It's probably the second earliest I've ever done. Because we're bolting off later. I'm in Amanda out to go and see my nephew on stage acting. Yeah, so it kind of makes sense we've got another actor with us today. Well, is he a drama queen? I'm not sure, as Nick Lovell might say, actually. So we've got the fantastic and great friend Spoken Label, and in person now as well, Clive Oseman. So Clive, obviously, for people who don't know you, mate, give us the spiel. I'll tell us a little bit about yourself as a person, and we'll start from there, mate.
Right. A little bit about me as a person. Yeah, I started. I started writing poetry a long time ago. Started performing in 2014, I think it was, and just got really into it. Started co-hosting events, and now, as well as poetry, I'm writing flash fiction and short stories and various other comedy pieces. And I look at myself as a spoken word artist, comedian, satirist, and surrealist. Because I can be quite surreal sometimes.
Sometimes it's an understatement, mate. Yeah, but oh god, yeah, we worked out before. It's the third time I think you've been on Spoken Label, but it's always great to have you on because you're so unpredictable with your work, and there's a lot I want to talk to you about today anyway. So, but obviously we better tell people first of all about Hive, haven't we, in a bit more detail. The thing that you run with your enemy, or was it friend? I'm never sure. You two, Nick Lovell.
Oh, we hate each other. He's a dick. Nick Lovell is a dick. There, it's out there.
I'll get Nick on next episode. Let him say some more expletives about you as well. Like I said, but it's sorry, go on. Pardon
me. Hive, yeah, it's going great guns again now. After the pandemic, obviously we went all on Zoom, during the lockdown, and that's still going strong. We also restarted the live events, and I've got to be honest, at first it was a struggle. People were not coming back. We do it hybrid as well, so that it's on Zoom, so that sort of, we still had people there, but the pub was pretty empty. But it's picking up again now, and the last one we had was amazing. We had Emma Closeley headlining, and we had a good open mic as well as the Zoom. We had Zoom open micers as well, and it was a great event. And then there's the regular Zoom ones where we have people obviously from all over the world, headliners and open micers. And we were very honoured last year to be shortlisted for the Best Spoken Word event for the Saboteur Awards.
Understandable. Brilliant night. It really is. Is that who knows whether me and Amanda will make it in person to be your night in person. But certainly, I'll always love coming on your Zoom one. And the one we had on last week was, I'm not going to naming people and make a comparison, but was one of the best ones I've been to, actually.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was absolutely off the scale.
Yeah, incredible it was. Yeah, so that's what's really good about it. So I think when you do open mic nights and Zooms, we never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it was just a good night, that was. So anyway, but like I said before to you, since the last time we had you on Spoken Label, we met in person, didn't we? As well, actually, for the first time.
We did, yeah, in Stockport.
Yeah, really. Stockport, yeah. And you came along and did your show one of your shows for us. Anyway, absolutely incredible it was. Oh.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was great to be there. Great to meet people in person that I hadn't met before. I mean, a lot of the people there I had met, like Kate and Ashley and people like that. But yourself and Amanda and other people, and Randy, and it was just great. It was great to meet everybody, and it was a really good night.
Oh God, yeah. Now you've been telling me, obviously, we're going to jump all over the place here anyway, but that's what I expect of you, Clive, and you on Clive anyway. But yeah, I know you're looking at doing another show next year, aren't you, in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, my last one, although it was a comedy, it's also had very serious undertones of mental health and whatever. But the next one is going to be pure comedy, and it's going to be a mixture of comedy, spoken word, flash fiction, and some other balmy stuff that I suspect we may touch on later that I'm doing. and I'm going to fuse them all together into a show which is going to be an autobiography of a fictitious person, or as I'm going to call it, an autobiography. So.
Brilliant. Now I'm well looking forward to that. Hopefully, as I said to you, hopefully I'll get to see you in person again, and we'll have to have a word with Randy, or our friend, mutual friend Randy, that putting you on again, the Stockport, definitely. So, but we'll deal with that off mic anyway. So, definitely with that one. But now, what I want to talk to you about today, I think it's going to cover most of the podcast really, is because people would know this. When I first met you, you were primarily a poet, really. But I know you've been, I'm not going to use the words dabbling because you're certainly not dabbling now, but your work's evolved in a different direction in the last couple of years. Do you think it has really with your flash fiction pieces now and then even your Amazon things we'll come on to next?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, I mean, although it probably doesn't come across when I'm performing, I am actually very shy, and self-confidence has always been a problem. And that was the story of my last show, overcoming that, that belief that people were not going to enjoy my stuff, and I've always had a sense of humor, but I always used to think that it was so sort of off the wall that people would just think I was stupid. But now, as time goes on, I'm realizing that people do actually enjoy it. And so really, I've always wanted to go beyond poetry, because if I'm honest, I don't consider myself what some people would call a poet. I write comedy stuff and the occasional serious piece, and it's certainly more spoken word than more than page poetry. But I've always wanted to go further. I've wanted to write flash fiction, and again, the old lack of self-confidence came in because I've got no education. I've had a lot of problems health-wise. I barely went to school after the age of about 12. And I felt like I didn't know the correct way to write things, and my grammar's not perfect. I mean, I will be the first to admit that. And I felt that would be an impediment that would just stop me. And then I decided to give it a go anyway. And to my surprise, really, people really enjoyed the stuff I was doing. So now, I just want to keep going and keep experimenting, really.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. I've gone direction really myself because I think, like I've been writing, but we're about. Well, I'm not. People will guess we're about the same age, me and you, anyway. So I think you're a little bit younger me. You're only about 21 or 22, aren't you? So, but
yeah, well, 23 actually. Yeah,
yeah. Well, like I've gone like that myself. Certainly over lockdown. Well, it's most for Amanda, really. That was. I've started experimenting myself with lots of flash fiction and all kinds of weird little bits and pieces, and I think you get the stage in your writing, and this is, I think you're right, definitely, where you're looking at things with like you're thinking, oh, what happens if I tried that? Or if I tried that? And I think that's what you've done because
yeah, I think, to be honest, I got to the stage where a lot of the poetry that I was writing was actually flash fiction made to look like poetry.
yeah, same here.
So I thought, okay, let's actually give it a go. And I started off by going to Ashley Edge's workshop, and I got a couple of decent pieces from that, and just started writing stuff and submitting it. And I've had a few accepted for publication now, and so yeah, I just enjoy it. My main thing is I like to make people laugh. I mean, I do write the occasional serious, even with the flash fiction, I do write the occasional serious one when the mood takes me, but I just like making people laugh.
No, same for me, because it's bizarre enough with my poetry, and it's you would have seen the end of when I stopped writing poetry really, and my poetry tends to be very serious. It's when I start doing the flash side of things, it goes a bit surreal or completely off the wall sometimes, and it's. Do you find that yourself when you're looking at certain forms where you're looking and thinking it makes it more serious than others? But I've seen you do very surreal sonnets before now as well, and yet some of your haikus are just off this planet for bonkersness.
Yeah, I mean the haiku. I mean that is. I've actually got myself in a little bit of trouble with some people with the haiku because, I mean, I used to write very serious haiku quite a long time ago now, and I was widely published like all over the world really. But the thing with haiku is that a lot of Western writers completely misunderstand it, and they genuinely think that if you write anything in 575 syllables, it's a haiku. And I started writing really ridiculous haiku to make people laugh. But some of the serious haiku writers who I had on Facebook were like, "You're disrespecting our art." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm actually taking the mickey out of the misunderstanding. People misunderstand it, and I'm taking the mickey out of that." But people got quite shirty. Well, one or two people got quite shirty about it. So.
Which I think, I get what you mean. Like, I'm of the opinion of it. Well, move on. Don't tend to lose sleep on it. It's only art and stuff, definitely with that one. So, I know what you mean with it. So, have you ever been tempted to have a go at perhaps doing a novel or something? Or have you? I don't think you've done a novel before, have you?
No. It's something I would like to do, but again, I'm not sure I could. Hopefully one day I'll try it, but focusing for one thing. I'm an odd bud, and I do struggle to focus on the same thing for too long.
Well, it kind of says all of me, like my novel I read out at OB High the other week. That's took me 15 years to write it. It's just been going backwards and forwards, and by the end of it, I was getting like my head was expanding. So I know what you mean with it, but it is what it is. So, but I'm very interested to learn, because if people follow your feed and stuff on social media, is about your Amazon work at the moment, which I think is absolutely genius. So I think I'll let you tell everybody about that in more depth, definitely, right?
Well, it's like what I'm doing is I'm reviewing stuff. Not thinking, I haven't really bought this stuff on Amazon. I'm just reviewing random things, and I always give I never trash anything, because at the end of the day, it's people's living, whatever. You're selling these things, so I always give 5 stars to start with and say how wonderful it is, just to draw people in, and then I just get more and more ridiculous. And everyone, I genuinely thought that when they say it's been reviewed or whatever, when you first send it in, I thought they genuinely would read it and think, no, that's you can't use that. But they were being put on the site, and I thought, I'm just getting more and more ridiculous to see how far I can go. And so far, everyone I've done is live on Amazon, and
that's what I find incredible. Like, it was like, you think with it's of Amazon, sometimes you wonder what they'll let you get away with, don't you? And you've not been. I've seen them, and they're not been rude or offensive or anything. Just
no, I definitely wouldn't do that, because, as I say, at the end of the day, you are reviewing things that people need to sell. So I would, even if there was something I really don't like, I would never go on there and make fun of it and be nasty. It's just purely for comedy, and so I always make sure I give everybody 5 stars and say how wonderful it is to start with. And
no, definitely that. So, have you not been tempted to ever go at anything like an eBay or anything like Next or other platforms of it, or just stick to Amazon?
No, I have. I do occasional things like letters of complaint, and
I haven't seen them. I would love
I was writing these a long time ago, actually, and I was just posting them on. It shows how long ago it was. It was in the old days of AOL message boards and whatever.
Oh, wow!
And this is where I've come from. I used to write these things that I thought were really funny, but I used to think people would just think I was stupid. So I went on the AOL message board under a pseudonym, a screen name, so nobody knew who I was. So if people thought I was stupid, I could just disappear and they would never know. And I used to write these things, and I sort of didn't do any for a long time, but I started doing them again now because they do make people laugh. And
No, brilliant. No, brilliant, mate. No, I said it's an absolute pleasure. They are with you, Clive, to getting them on there, mate. Definitely with that one. So, but have you got any ideas where you envisage your creativity taking you next? Then, any sort of idea direction you'd like to go in, apart from another show, even maybe?
Not at the moment. No, just go wherever it takes me, really. Yeah, obviously the next show, I am hoping to bring out a book to complement it as well.
I was going. I know you had a delay of a book, didn't you, this year? So I wasn't sure what was going on with that. I must admit. So
no, to be honest, I don't think it's happening. I know the person dealing with it has been quite ill, And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, actually, I don't want to publish this. I want to go on to my next project and use some of the stuff in that collection in the show. So I may, if they do come back to me now, I'll probably just say, I've changed my mind, and maybe you can have a look at the next one, because
yeah, I think sometimes it's natural that sometimes when if you have a gap between it like that, and I've had it myself before with books now, when it gets delayed for a period, and then it comes back to you, it's time for publishing. You're thinking, well, I've moved on from that, and I think that's what you probably did, didn't you? Really? So
yeah. I mean, that book was purely comedy spoken word, and nothing else. And it now I think I look at it and I know there's one or two of the poems that they're not going to accept anyway, because libel laws and such, they're a bit frightened that they might be so I'm just going to take the best bits and use them in the new show and the new book. So
no, I'm saying completely. I say it's just natural progression sometimes, definitely with that, Clive. So no, good luck on with it, definitely. So said with that one. So I said, but yeah, no, keep us informed. You've got two supporters over in the Manchester area, with me and Amanda, no matter what you do with that one, definitely. So
it's always appreciated.
Yeah, now what we're going to do is obviously we've had you on several times, so we're going to let you do most today, doing a bit of reading for us in the second half, and hopefully highlight a few Amazon reviews among other stuff. But
I'll do that.
I think it's always good if we do a quick recap, anyways, for you, mate. So obviously, when is OB Hive on? Every month. You use have rough set dates, don't you, normally? So
yeah, it's always, unless on the very odd occasion it clashes with holidays or something like that, then it's always the hybrid one is on the second Tuesday of the month, and the online only one on Zoom is the third Friday.
Brilliant. Now, is there anything you can reveal on guests coming up and stuff?
Not really. We've got one or two people lined up, but we haven't got a date yet. It depends on when their books are published and things like that. So, and by the time this goes out, obviously the people we've got booked at this moment, that will have gone. So I can't really say too much.
No, it's best way. I think it's always good to keep people guessing anyway. So now, obviously, if people, for example, then want to find out more about you, where do you recommend they go to conclude with?
I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. That's my go-to social media. I'm on Threads, but I very rarely look at it.
I've never signed up for Threads actually. Never did it. So is it not? What I take it you're not.
It was unusual for me. I usually jump on the bandwagon just as it's about to crash. But I actually joined X on the day that it started. I was actually on the train on the way to Stockport, funnily enough, and that's the day that Threads started. So I joined that day, but I hardly ever use it. I left Twitter a long time ago because I think it's an absolute cesspit.
Yeah,
and I am on Instagram. But yeah, it's Facebook. I'm just under my own name, Clive Oseman, Oseman.
It's fine. So
Instagram is Oseman Clive, because I like to be different. I've also got a website which is I need to work on it, because at the end of the day I'm paying for it. But I set it up, and then what with everything else, obviously I work full time, I run the events, I go out performing, I'm not in the greatest of health, so sometimes things get neglected, and that's been one of them. But I do need to get back to it, because obviously performers need websites these days. So, and that is cliveosemanspokenword.com.
I didn't even know that, John. It shows you, so you learn everything about people every day there, definitely. So brilliant. Well, no, good luck, man. So as I said, hopefully we'll see you next year in person, maybe in Stockport again, even doing your show again. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Right, mate. We'll wrap up part one. So I want to give you plenty of time to do some bits and pieces in the second half. So come back, everybody, please, because this guy is a goddamn genius, and he won't appreciate him saying it, but he is. All right. So we will see you all. 2 shakes of the dice.